Ah yes, the PSP. The one thing I cherish the most about my childhood. As a kid, born in 2008, yes, we are 16 now, you are getting old. It was the greatest year for video games, as the game came out itself, along with my other favorite games like GTA 4 and Dead Space. Now as a kid, I didn't get consoles or PCs, not saying that I had a bad childhood, just saying that I didn't have access to more modern games. And basically, as a young man, I got a PSP from my mom, and I fucking loved that shit. I rocked with it, and I remember vividly having about 5 or 4 games on it. And with every console platform, there's a favorite game. I grew up appreciating everything I had. My mommy raised a gentleman. From the age of 6, I got my older brother's old laptop, and ah damn, it was a banger. I used to play all sorts of games on it, mostly Valve, because I grew up appreciating the actual art of Valve. And I remember rocking Half-Life, having good times on Team Fortress 2 and Portal 2 and 1, and I still play those games occasionally to this day. Okay, time to stop with the nostalgic memories and go back to the main point of the talking. Of course, I grew up mainly on Force Unleashed. I am more than sure I finished this game at least 30 plus times. Thing is, my PSP didn't have a memory card, meaning anytime I turned off the game or my PSP died, I had to start all over. In my first playthrough, after about 8 years, I didn't die once, getting to Palpatine and beating the absolute fuck out of him. Not so long ago, like 2 years. I was not really aware that Force Unleashed originally came out for the PS3 and PC, meaning I only thought the PSP version was the original. When I got the news that a better looking, upgraded and more badass version was on the PC that I could buy and is on Steam, I immediately bought it. And after getting it on the PC and slapping bad boy play button, I was blown. In this video, I will make a basic summary of what changes to the story, cover the graphics, game design, audio, boss fights, and the main talking point being the additional content that is in no other version than this one. Other than the graphics and levels being adapted to the PSP, the main reason I wanted to talk about this was the additional, or scrapped, bosses from the original. In the original, after you defeat Ram Koda on the shipyard, you are immediately tasked by Vader to go on Raxus Prime and kill Paradis. However, in the PSP version, Vader says that Galen is far from completing his training and sends him to the Jedi Temple. This will occur another time later, after defeating Kasdan. When Galen eventually makes his way through the temple, you fight a Sith Lord projection of Darth Decius, who originally lived during the Old Republic era. And in my opinion, is a major badass that if you don't know about, he is really worth checking out. After finishing a quest on Raxus Prime, Vader sends Galen again to the temple to overcome his fears. This time you need to take another path than you did before, and after slaughtering Imperials who were much more prepared for you than the last time, you get to fight another ancient Sith by the name of Darth Phobos. She also lived in the Old Republic era, and she has one of the more interesting fights in the game as she can clone herself and make her vision blurry sometimes. For the last time visiting the Jedi Temple, again making your way through even more guards than before, you find a rogue Jedi to be fighting with Vader. Galen sees Vader is going to be struck down by the Huda Jedi and blocks it, engaging in a battle with him. After defeating him in the sickest quick time event in the entire game, you get to know that it was just a hallucination of your father, and he disappears. The final additional boss being the human Mandalorian mercenary on Bespin holding the senator that you rescue. He has Mandalorian bodyguards and a mech type of suit that he will later use in the boss fight. After you defeat him, he has the balls to go toe-to-toe with Galen and, well, he gets fucked. So, you know, a handheld device can't really support the room size of the fucking White House, so everything is scaled down a little. In the original, every single level was so much more bigger and action-packed. Additionally, the combos are much nicer to execute, and there's a lot of them. The enemies aren't fucking lightsaber sponges either, which is a way different story on the PSP version. In the PSP version, it's really a problem that there's not much space alongside the enemies being made out of fucking Beskar, appearing to survive even the wildest of combos. This becomes really apparent in the late game when the same enemies are fucking tanks compared to the former soyboy early versions of themselves. Being able to survive force lightning combo, thrown, slashed and then thrown and still getting up, Man, they should have used that on the Rebellion. Smaller talking point, but I do have to address, good as the PC version sounds, with many more sound effects and crispier sounds with higher bitrate, I am definitely more biased towards the PSP version. The action of throwing a boss into the wall with them thuds and the clashes, Christ, that shit makes me cream. Booting up the PC version, I was sure that there was going to be a lot more content because, oh, the PC? Of course it's gonna have, no. It sucks. In terms of bosses, yes, I will bitch about it. It fucking sucks. I really don't like the boss fights on the PC version, as the camera is locked in one place, and don't even get me started on this guy. An honorable mention from my boy Drexel Rouge, which was barely a boss fight. He was on Raxus Prime, the Triandoshan you were supposed to kill before advancing to another section. Now, it's not all sunshine and rainbow on the PSP version, and the one major complaint that I have is that Proxy, in the original, turns into Darth Maul as a final test for Galen on Raxus Prime, and then gets his ass beat so hard that he glitched out of the map several times. This, for no reason at all, not being included in the PSP version, just makes me really sad, because I had no idea you were fighting Darth Maul in the original. The hub being the rogue shadow, in my opinion, is pretty nice, being able to level up and make your lightsaber on an actual ship. That is quite nice, although it's useless. Now the game modes. Whatever N-Space was cooking up during making of their port on the PSP was fucking delicious. I mean, like, holy damn, I'm sorry, but Order 66, Force Duels and historic missions not being in the original versions is an actual war crime. Like, I get that Force Unleashed has a few DLCs about the Jedi Temple and half, but that's, in my opinion, just not as good. Also, yes, I am aware that each port was made by a different studio, but the PS2 version, being the same version, just with better graphics and ragdoll system, missing the additional content, is actually crazy. The Order 66 consists of starting waves of clones, with every wave being a lot more difficult as you progress. At the end of each section or map, every 6th wave, there is a boss fight. After you defeat the boss, the map changes. They were done epically and integrate their Force Unleashed edginess into them in the way that will be shown later. You have the option of ObiWan vs Dooku and Anakin, Luke vs Boba Fett, Vader vs Luke on Bespin, Mace vs Jango in a Geonosis Coliseum, and Anakin vs ObiWan on Mustafar. First of all, my favorite, Anakin vs ObiWan, and it was executed fucking amazingly. You fight Anakin as Obi-Wan, and if your thinking was, oh, haha, what if I throw him off the ledge? Well, you can, but a droid brings him back in a cutscene. Then you fight some separatist droids after Anakin pussies out. And then, back to Anakin after you catch up. The end being a lot more edgier and arcade-like than in the movies. Instead of Obi-Wan cutting Anakin into sushi, Anakin gets fucking chug blasted through one of those wing thing structures and he falls straight up to the lava river as Obi-Wan mogs him like a fucking chat. And not a single tear or sign of emotion on that man's face. My second favorite is Anakin vs Dooku, which is really nicely done. Starting off with Dooku being busy with Obi-Wan while you get tasked to take out the droids. When you finish your nightly duties, a cutscene plays where Obi-Wan gets smashed by the platform and Anakin gives Dooku the death stare. After the cutscene, there's a short quicktime event where Anakin kicks Dooku down from the ramp, force pushes him onto a table, picks up the ramp from Obi-Wan and then fucking sends it on Dooku. Wow, Anakin, calm the fuck down. I understand you're angry, but like, chill out. The Emperor must be cackling to himself, that I can just imagine. Then you fight, defeat Dooku, and a silly cutscene plays where Anakin executes Dooku. This was the most interesting one for me as a kid for some reason. It was done pretty decently, with a lot of quick time events. It starts off with Luke arriving at the carbonite chamber and Vader roasting the fuck out of him.
You are a worthless bitch ass.
You and Luke start briefly fighting. In a quick time event, even though Vader tries to freeze him, he escapes through some kind of a tunnel. You follow Luke and yank him through a window, and Luke makes a run for it. When you try to find him, he is still visible on the map, yet he is not in the location where he is shown to be. He runs off to some kind of a hallway and he's supposed to hide from you. As a means to hide Luke from you, the devs have chosen to put Luke somewhere high up at the hallway, so when you walk to the end, he ambushes you. After his unsuccessful battle and getting damaged, Luke runs off to the bridge to get a quick time event where you cut off his hand. The scene from the movie plays and Luke's reaction is lovely to being revealed that Vader is his father.
I am your father.
No. No. The quality is fine, but there's not a lot the devs could have done with this fight. It's Luke vs Boba Fett, which is happening at the Sarlacc. You start off by fighting Hutt's goons after you fake jump into the Sarlacc pit. After you get rid of them, Boba Fett flies out and you've got yourself the boss of the day. He has a fast firing blaster and rockets, plus he can fly. The most effective way to defeat him is by using Force Lightning or choke him. It is worth mentioning that he can just ignore it after a while if you hold him for too long. After some time of damaging Boba Fett, you get a quick time prompt. You pick him up and throw him against the yak alongside some explosive barrels, leaving a hole in the yak. Of course, as the Chad Boba is, he's pretty much fine and you can continue your fight. If you wear him down more, another quick time prompt occurs. And here comes the edgy. Luke chokes Boba, throws him around, and then just sends him into the Sarlacc pit. Again, the outro consists of Luke standing there like a Sigma. Now, unfortunately, by far the lamest one is Mace vs Jango at the Geonosis Coliseum. It started the same way when Mace confronted Dooku, getting ambushed by battle droids and jumping down while Fett is shooting at him with a pistol that he holds like a rifle. After you fight a small horde of droids, you are supposed to go inside the planning room of Geonosis and turn on a rescue beacon for the clones to arrive. You have to defeat more droids and make contact with the clones. Then you have to go back and rescue Aayla Secura. Okay, I don't want to sound bad, but they really pulled some shit out of their ass here. After that is done, she thanks you greatly and you part ways. You make your way out, Jango attacks you, and not gonna lie, that boss fight just stinks. With Jango barely doing anything and droids somewhat being thrown at you. After the quick time sequence, you stab Jango and that's about it. He's dead. Now, I really feel like they missed out on having another battle about Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fighting Maul, especially since they already have the models in the game. It makes me wonder why they made Qui-Gon solely for Force Duel. The Force Duels are nothing special, but they are pretty fun time killing arcade type battles. You often fight one enemy at a time, but sometimes it steps up to two. You pretty much climb a ladder of killing other Force users till you get to the top, meaning Palpatine. Ironically enough, not being the hardest battle. By far, the hardest one to me is Qui-Gon with Obi-Wan. They are so fucking relentless in their pursuit. Anytime you try to run and heal, either you get pulled or they immediately run to you. So far, I consider the PSP version to be pretty much the best one. Sure, the graphics are not good and the game doesn't offer you much in terms of playstyles. Let's be real, it's a hack and slash on every platform. With all those additional game modes and story add-ons, it just makes a really good experience. And for these reasons, I consider it a definitive version to play the game. Yes, I am quite biased towards it since I grew up with it, but I do recognize its weaknesses and its strengths. If you actually got to the end, I'm quite surprised and thanks, I basically made this video out of boredom and wanted to try something new. This game being my passion because I fucking love Force Unleashed in every way, I just wanted to make a short ramble video about a 16-year-old game and its ports, which so many more people already make vids on. And I expect this to get like 3 likes because there's only so many people who enjoy art as me. That's about it. See ya.